Now that we've been inspired by the element of space and positive and negative space, let's create our own artwork. For this art project, you'll need watercolors or markers, a black piece of construction paper, and a heavier white piece of construction paper from your sketch. For the negative space of this artwork, you're going to choose between either warm or cool colors. Warm colors are things that maybe remind you of warm sunshine or campfires, like reds, yellows, oranges, and even pinks. And cool colors, I think of things like cold rain, cold dewy grass, cold ocean waves, and you can use blues, greens, and purples. Before you begin painting, have some sort of messy mat or newspaper underneath your workspace. For my first painting example, I've chosen to use cold colors. Again, you get to decide which group of colors you want to use. If you're using watercolor, you'll need to wet your paintbrush first, and then gently swirl it around in the color that you choose. Remember, if you're using cool colors, you'll only use blues, greens, or purples. Every time you want a new color, rinse your brush clean and gently swirl it around in another color to wake it up. Remember, right now when we're painting, we're just filling the space with color. You can add stripes, shapes, wavy lines, zigzag lines, whatever you want. Just fill that entire background with either warm or cool colors. Before we do the next step, it's important to let this painting dry somewhere completely. Keep in mind that you can also use markers to design the negative space. Again, keeping it simple, just colors. I'm going to show you one more way to use watercolor, and this time I'll use warm colors, reds, oranges, yellows, and even pink. What I'm doing here is starting with a wet paper. This is called the wet on wet method. So I will wet my paper, and then I will wet my watercolor paint and add a little bit of watercolor to the little wet puddle on my paper until I fill the whole thing. Again, it is super important that you let this painting dry completely before we do the next step. For the image that we'll use for positive and negative space for this art project, you can use any shape that can be divided in half. I chose to use some fall or even Halloween inspired shapes, but you absolutely don't have to. It could be something as simple as a heart or a star or a diamond. You get to decide. Once your paintings are completely dry, you'll need that half sheet of black, a pencil, or a white colored pencil, and then you'll draw your image only using half of it, starting at the edge of the paper. You can see here I'm drawing half of a bat and outlining it in white colored pencil so that you can see it better. Keep it simple and then add more details if you want. I could go back and cut out the eye if I wanted to. I'll show you where I'm drawing it, but I think I'll just use the outline of the bat and see how it goes. Next, I'm going to use my scissors and very carefully cut out my bat. Remember, to do this, there are no wasted pieces of paper, so we want to save all of our scraps. Try to be really careful and cut on your lines, and then you can use your eraser and erase any pencil marks that you don't want to see later. Next is my favorite part. Get your dry painting and your glue stick. Before you glue it down, go ahead and lay the pieces together like a puzzle, and then flip the cutout piece over to the other side to create the positive and negative piece. Then you can glue it down. Here's a really simplified version where I'm just using a basic heart. I'm drawing half of a heart 3 times. You could draw any simple shape that could be divided in half equally, like a diamond or a star. To make it look a little bit more complex, draw it 3 times and then carefully cut on the lines. Always place the piece with the corners in first, put it together like a puzzle, and I'm going to flip every other piece, starting with the first one. I'll flip the first one, I'll leave the second, use the edge of the papers to make a straight line all the way down, and then I'll flip the third. When you have it placed, glue it down. Check out this one as I make a more detailed pumpkin.